Fight fans, welcome back. We've got an exciting, very, very exciting boxing match coming up this weekend. Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley, 2. Now, Erich, of course, this fight was supposed to be between Tommy Fury and Jake Paul. That fight got scrapped for injuries. So we get a rematch of a fight that was pretty interesting. I think a lot more competitive than many expected it to be. Take us through what happened in the first fight, and then also how the odds compare between where the first fight closed and where this current fight is right now.
What's going on, Malik? Yep. We got Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul. They're going at it a second time. We're doing a rematch. It's going to be an interesting fight because Tyron Woodley last time definitely showed some moments. He just wasn't as heavy on volume as we were hoping for. As we did on our last video, we had Tyron Woodley to win by decision at plus 2,200. It did go to decision. Fight to go to decision was plus 600 last time out. Now it is all the way down to minus 120. So we got some great closing line value there. We're looking at this fight. Tyron Woodley landed one jab in the first round against Jake Paul. Pretty much no volume in the first couple rounds. So very frustrating bet when your fighter is not pushing out volume like that. In round 4, things happened a little bit better. Tyron Woodley was able to land a clean left hook and push Paul against the ropes, and he had Paul pretty badly hurt in round 4. He came forward, which is great in round 4, and the end of the fight, he seemed to have picked up on Paul's movement. He had picked up on more volume. So that is a positive for Tyron Woodley. Now we look at what the odds were in the first fight and we compare them in the second fight. They're a little confusing. Tyron Woodley last time was closing around plus 170 in most sports books and looked pretty good against Paul. But now for the second fight, he can be found well over plus 200 on most books. He's plus 210 on DraftKings. So, it's going to be interesting. My only question is, did Paul ever look like a minus 300 favorite in that fight? Because I would say absolutely not. He never looked like a minus 300 favorite, and it is definitely going to be a tempting bet, albeit frustrating when your fighter is not pushing out volume. So that's a major area of concern. Decision is going to be a very tough win if you're not pushing out volume. And then you're going to be looking at hopefully a knockout. He's a lot smaller than Paul, as we talked about the first fight. He's a lot smaller, so it's going to be harder to get that knockout. It's a hard fight to really cap, but the line is very wide at this point. I would expect it to narrow as we get to fight day on Saturday. Plus 210 is much too high.
So a few things, I think obviously, like you mentioned, he caught him really well. That was probably the best punch of the fight from either fighter. And obviously the crowd got into it. Everybody felt that surge, but you could see, as you mentioned, he was figuring out how to really box in the moment. Like, he started the fight off in this weird stance. He was extremely low to the ground. He kind of started to pick up on it. Maybe that was just a way of him kind of trying to throw things off because he's, a mixed martial artist and not a boxer by trade. But I thought Woodley did a really good job of just being patient. He lost in a close decision. So to me, I agree with you. I don't think that he could win that he would win a decision this time around. He probably has to go for a knockout. For reference, right now, and this is a story that's up on actionnetwork.com, Tyron Woodley is getting 68% of the bets at BetMGM, 81% of the money. So a lot of people are believing in the fact that he can somehow will his way by his knowledge or whatever they saw in the first fight to get the win here. If you were to bet him, and I know you kind of touched on this a bit there before, but if you were to bet him to win, how would you do it? Obviously, there's probably a lot of tempting ways to do it, but what do you think is the most interesting way to bet on Woodley?
As odds come out on this fight, I would hope to get a Woodley over 3.5 rounds type of bet. It's not currently out now. I don't know if it will, but I'm hoping for a later round finish from Tyron Woodley. I believe that Tyron Woodley to win in round 5 is around plus 2,500 to plus 3,000, depending on the book. So I think if you want to take a stab at a round, just a specific round, and maybe cash in big, I think that's your opportunity. Woodley has really strong punching power. So if he lands that clean left hook again, and then maybe actually follows it up with a cross or vice versa, does right cross, left hook, because he wasn't doing that. He was just doing one punch at a time. I mean, it's an experience thing. He's not a boxer by trade. So from that perspective, if you're looking to bet on this fight, I would say that Tyron Woodley at the money line it's currently at, over plus 200 is a fine bet if you want to do that. Jake Paul should not be a minus 300 favorite against Tyron Woodley. That's a very wide line. An interesting little anecdote about this fight. Dylan Dennis went on the Ariel Helwani podcast and said that it written in the contract for the first fight said that Tyron Woodley was not allowed to knock out Jake Paul. That's what he just said it. And it may or may not be true. I didn't see the contract, but I will say that for the second fight, Jake Paul added into the contract that Tyron Woodley gets an extra $500K bonus if he knocks out Jake Paul. So there is no shortage of motivation for Tyron Woodley not to win this fight by knockout. $500K is a ton of money for anybody, and especially Tyron Woodley, who has pretty much said that he's taking these fights for money. So if you're looking to back Tyron Woodley by TKO, you can get it around plus 380. That's what it is on DraftKings currently. So I would jump on Tyron Woodley to win this fight. If you want to take a stab at a later round prop, highly encouraged, especially at big odds where you're getting 25-1, 30-1, something like that. But overall, decision's going to be very difficult to win when you're not putting out that type of volume. He should be headhunting most of this fight. And then another, just to add on, this sets up a potential trilogy if Tyron Woodley wins. So if Tyron Woodley could get a third fight and he wants that payday, he has made that clear. He got a tattoo on his finger saying, "I love Jake Paul," on his finger. I don't know if it's real. Saw the picture. I'm not a tattoo
It's supposed
expert.
to be somewhere else, I believe, but I guess the finger works, right?
I guess it does. I don't know. He got it on his middle finger, so I don't know. But overall, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm expecting this fight to happen a third time, and I think that Tyron Woodley wins by TKO plus 380. And if you want to take a stab at like round 5 plus 3,000 or something like that, highly recommended.
Yeah, questionable contracts in boxing are very rare, as we both know. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But to your point, the most popular prop, according to that article on actionnetwork.com, is Woodley winning by KO, TKO. That's plus 350. I believe you said it's plus 388 in other books. There's obviously a ton of, like you said, incentive for him to both win this fight and to win by knockout. You get a nice little bonus. Maybe you get a third fight. People will definitely be interested because people are extremely interested in watching the Paul brothers and Woodley. So to close here, what exactly have you bet already, or are you planning to bet? Maybe you're waiting for a particular line. Like, what's the bet that you're definitely going to make in this fight?
Definitely going to be betting Woodley TKO. That would be a smaller bet, or that would be my bigger bet. My smaller bet is going to be round 5, round 6, round 7. I'll probably sprinkle a little bit on that. Did the same thing with Juliana Pena on Sean Zarilla's advice for round 3, 4, and 5. Who would have thought that Amanda Nunes wasn't going to survive until at the end of the second round? So, take those little small increment values at 25-1, 30-1. And then you can actually, make a big profit. And then you can win both ways. If you have TKO and he knocks him out in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round, you're cashing in big. So that's how I'm betting this fight.
There you have it. We are extremely excited to see this fight. I'm very curious to see how Tyron Woodley learned from the second fight. Obviously, this is extremely short notice because he wasn't supposed to be fighting in this fight. This rematch has kind of just been thrown together. Maybe that gives him some of an advantage. Maybe that doesn't give him an advantage. But we will see what happens in the ring on Saturday night. Be sure to keep it locked to actionnetwork.com for more analysis on this fight. Ding, ding. Can't wait to see it.